look and find the email address I have for amateur enforcement from like 6 or 7 years ago. I think it's still in there. If it didn't change, I'll shoot it to all you guys, and we could all send an email in. They'll turn those 12 antennas on. It takes like 12 seconds. I guess people don't know about the HFDFC. Google it, moron. They have a system of like 12 or 15 antennas, and they can DF within like an eighth of a mile in like 12 and a half seconds. So that's like the first thing they do when you send a complaint in. I won't read about the schmuck in QST 4 months down the road. So anyway, enough air wasted on that. You guys all sound good. Steve, 7-3 to you, and David, 7-3 to you. Nice to hear you, Ed. Frank, you sound good on the ICOM. Sounds very good. And so far the signals are holding up. I didn't catch the H station's name, but I can punch it up on QRZ. So there. So I guess I'm thinking I should probably go back to Frank. Let's see. What do you think, Frank? W2SDR in the group, N2LJO.
Yeah, it's me, George. Thanks. N2LJO in the group, W2SDR. Sounding great. Everybody's coming through good. Ed, your sound is the best sounding 7300 I've ever heard. Sounds very, very good. So you're getting the most out of that rig. 718s could sound very well. Very good. They can get really wide bandwidth, relatively wide, and they're easy to set up. Now, the only problem with a 718, Ed, it's not nearly the receiver that you have. That's the problem. I mean, it's a cheap radio, and it's got a 9 kilohertz filter in it for AM, and that's it. So it's a little bit on the wide side, but I think new, those rigs are about $599, something like that. And there's quite a few use them out there. They go for anywhere between $400 and $500. But they, you know, there's a few things you can do to them that you can't do to a 7300 to get a lot more bandwidth on transmit. So they're not a bad rig, and for that kind of price, if you can get it at a good deal, I can tell you what can be done to those things. And you know, it could be just another radio to play with. If you don't like it, move it on. Get one used or something, probably get exactly what you paid for it. So. But there's a few guys that use those things, and they sound very good, you're right. 16 degrees here. Guess that's a heat wave to you, Ed. And but it's 16 here. We went down to 2 or 3 degrees here overnight, so it was very cold. It's been very cold here. But we're going to warm up by the weekend, so it's not going to be bad. We're not like the Midwest. Guys out there, it's brutal. It's been very, very brutal. Let me see. Find on that RDF or direction finding stuff. I wasn't aware of that, George. The fellow, you know, it's embarrassing when you want to QRM people and it doesn't work. Everybody's strong enough to get over you. I mean, that's really pitiful. Yeah, it really is. You're trying to do something and like you don't have the oomph to do it. Really, you know, I would have given the guy credit if he could have broke things up, but the guy was like the weakest one out there. So, there you go. That's a good idea. Yeah, you know, forward me that email address. Yeah, what the hell? We're here every night. There was nobody here before. We didn't interfere with anybody. The frequency wasn't in use and what have you. So Steve was in here, George, and Ed. Well, Ed knows, and Ed, I don't know if Ed and EWM knows, but KA3PTX was in here, but he had to do something, I guess, go out and get some wood or what for his wood stove. KA3PTX in the group. Keep it moving. W2SDR.
W3FJJ.
Sorry, W3FJ acknowledged. This is KA3PTX on the 7300. On the 7300. So, I don't know. It's only 25 watts barefoot. I just figured I'd head out there. KAEWM. Here we have the 7300 barefoot. But anyway, here's the 7300 here. And everybody's coming in really good. And I won't make a long transmission in case you're not hearing me well, but anyway, I'm going to switch this after. Anyway, this is the 7300.
We'll have to take N2LJO.
Okay, George, come on back. Okay. Back on the Super Senior.
Anyway, real quick before I kind of break it, compared to what Ed was sounding like and what I was sounding like, is it a big difference?
Nope, you sounded pretty much the same. Could have been on the same rig to my ear, Ed. And good evening to Chuck. Go ahead, Ed.
Okay, just wondering. So then it doesn't sound all that bad. I don't know. Every time I get on the 7300, I always get negative comments. Doesn't sound good. But anyway, it was only running low power. I could put a little AB switch here so I could run it over to the SB220 and get a couple hundred watts carrier out of that. But anyway, why? CPU is working okay. Say hello, Chuck. Wow, this is big. Let me see. I normally turn it to Ed, KA3PTX, but now I'm going to turn it to Chuck. I'm hoping he's here. And Ed, KA3PTX, you might mention again, you said, I missed what you said when what amp you were running with the 7300, what amp? I missed that part, so. Anyhow, yeah, it was 6 degrees when I left for work this morning. And then, kind of warming up all day. The thing about today, it was colder, but there was no wind. Yesterday, the wind was brutal, so. W3FJJ in the group, KA3PTX, now on the Super Senior.
Great. KA3PTX on the Super Senior. In the group, W3FJJ. Good evening, Ed, Frank. I think George said he had a phone call or something. Steve stepped out. Sounds fine, Ed. No problem, but sounds pretty clean, and Ed's EWM's got this really nice. You probably can't do much better than that. Sounds very acceptable. Very acceptable. I'm on right spot for myself here. I'm running 1000 Delta, and feeding that into a Drake L7, so 150 watts. Hey, Frank, your 751 sounds good. Hadn't heard that in a while. So over to you. Well, wait a minute. I think it goes back to Ed. EWM. So I got it mixed up. KA3PTX in the group, W3FJJ.
Okay, Chuck, W3FJJ in the group from Kilowatt Echo Whiskey Mike. Real good. And Ed, the amplifier here is an ACOM 1000. And real quick on a breakhead, what microphone were you using?
Calling PTX.
Oh, he may have left the room or something. Okay, good. You know, Frank, you mentioned about the QRMers. You know, it's just too sad when you are trying to deliberately interfere with somebody and they don't even know you're there. That's pretty sad. You can't even do that right. And I've been a ham since 1974, and I spent a lot of my general years on sideband. I ran across a lot of the prolific QRMers throughout the years, and the big ones, the ones were really, really something. They all have one thing in common, and that is that they all got caught, and for the most part are no longer around. There are a couple that are still around, but they're mind the P's and Q's now. Thank God for someone kidding about that. Not too much more it is. It's always, I want to get out of here, make room for somebody else here. The group's getting rather large, so thanks for acknowledging me and not throwing rocks and garbage at me. You know, Ed, your comment about the 7300 not sounding so well, you know, listen to this compared to my mom with some audio stuff. The alarm just sounds superb. As do all the fluxes and some broadcast transmitters. So, you know, if you want to compare it to that, no, it doesn't sound as good as that, but it's certainly not bad. Not bad by any stretch of the imagination. So, it is what it is. A little box does a lot. And, Frank, I might let me just pick up on some information about the 718, because that's what we're doing, but I can't believe that the 718 on the end has sound outstanding. Unfortunately, like you said, you have to tolerate that receiver. This 7300 is just really, really nice. Anyhow, I think George got a phone call or something, so maybe it goes back to you, Frank, if George isn't there to pick it up. You guys have a great evening. 73 from the North Coast. This is KADWM.
KA3PTX for a quick break.
Yeah, go ahead, Ed.
Okay, Ed, yeah, I stepped away from the mic when you asked me the question. Real quick, the microphone I was using on the 7300 was a Heil Gold Line GM Gulf Mexico -5. So that's what I was using. I just got to switch for wide and narrow. Narrow is useless pretty much. So I just keep this switch in the wide mode. It's a dual element mic. So anyway, and real quick, Ed, before you leave, so you were copying my 25 watts out there in Ohio?
Oh, yeah. It was a little difficult, but yeah, I got you 100%.
Okay, just curious. All right, well, thanks for the signal report, and 7-3, good talking to you. So let me let this thing keep going. If George isn't there, then, or Steve isn't there, then Frank, you pick it up.
Good timing. Wow. Okay. Make sure I got it.
Yeah, go ahead, George, and turn it to me.
All right. That was a client of mine closed on a house and had a broken pipe with the weather. Anyway, so I had to take that call. What am I reading here? Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to read. Where did it go? If you Google it, the link pops up. Where did it go? Where did I lose it? I got two browsers open. Here it is. www.fcc.gov/general/high-frequency-direction-finding-center. The High Frequency Direction Finding Capability Center provides direct support to the public safety community and other federal partners by locating interference sources. The HFDFC ensures public safety and security of the HF radio spectrum below 30 megahertz by providing assistance and technical expertise to the FCC and its licensees before, during, and after emergencies. It also provides interference resolution to FCC licensees and federal government agencies and supports the enforcement and management of the HF spectrum. So, and if you look further down in the Google results, I think there's like a Wikipedia page or something that explains the whole thing. And it's kind of fascinating. And it's funny because there were hands that used to fantasize about like setting this up on their own, and nobody knew, like you just said, Frank, nobody knew it existed. And it's something like 12 or 15, sophisticated systems at 12 or 15 locations that are all linked by computer, and I guess they triangulate squared, and I think it said that they can get down like within 12 seconds to like an eighth of a mile or something like that. So, pretty interesting. I'll send you guys that email address, and we could all shoot an email into enforcement. I think this is the same putz that does it on Sunday morning up on 40 meters. So, like I said, you'll read about them 4 months later in QST.
Okay, are you done there, George?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, I guess I get it. W2SDR. Sure, I got it. Okay. Well, if you could send me an email to that, George, I'd appreciate it. It's my call. You could use my call at ARRL.net. It's good old George. I'm not going to write that down. It's too much to write. I'm not going to ask you to repeat it. W2SDR. Well, okay, Ed. Well, your 7300 sounds good. You know what they remind me of? Both Eds, if the other Ed, both Eds are listening. Kind of a stock Apache, stock Valiant. It's along those lines. They're 100% modulated, and that's what they sound like with a D104. So if you remember what an Apache sounds like with a D104, a Valiant, a stock Valiant now, and that's about what they sound like. I mean, they're not going to sound like a DYY or an A-Rig or one of my radios, an SDR or something like that. They're just, they don't have the bandwidth. Period. So, but other than that, they're fine. Their 7300s are fully modulated. You can tell they're 100% modulated. And that's that. All right, let me see. What else? Good evening, Chuck. You sounding good over here tonight? And good signal on you. I hope the band holds out here at least for a little while. Steve was in here earlier. He went out to get wood, chop wood or something, like Abe Lincoln. I could see him out there, and I'll tell you, he must really like to supplement that heat. To go out there, and it's got to be single digits where he is, to chop wood and to bring it in. At this stage in life, I want to walk right up to that thermostat and say, I'm a little chilly, and just hit the button and bump it up by a couple of degrees. To go out there and let's chop some wood and bring it in, I don't know. I've worked too hard in my whole life to be doing that, but I can understand people like doing that stuff. You save a few bucks, and you got a fire, you got all that stuff going on, but there you go. I'm not sure. I guess I was turning it to you, Ed, but you just had it, or no, you just broke in real quick. So let me turn it to you, Ed, and I guess you were turning it to Chuck. And welcome back again, George. Sounded good as always. Everybody's very, very strong here. KA3PTX in the group, W2SDR.
W2SDR in the group. And my cat in the background. Yeah, very good. Yeah, George, welcome back. Sounding good. And, yeah.
You hear a phone ringing.
So Bridget headed out to her pottery class. She's gonna bring up her first project home tonight. It's in the kiln. Kiln? K-I-L-N, I think is how. And she's gonna be on the potter's wheel, making something else, right? She took this course a few years ago, so we got coffee mugs and bowls and all kinds of stuff here from the last time she took it. And anyway, she wanted to take it again. So anyhow, 6 to 9. Yeah, I guess we haven't heard from Rich tonight. A lot of people in here tonight. The old gang. The gang's all here. Yeah, Frank, I don't know if you answered the question or not. If you did, I'm sorry I missed it. But when you were talking about the new K7DYY audio board, were you just reading about it and thought it was interesting, or did you buy it and actually have it? I kind of missed that. Let's see what else. Yeah, okay, and the audio on the 7300, yep. I never operated an Apache. I know Chuck used to have a scratchy Apache, but I had one here briefly that I picked up at a flea market, but then I passed it on before I even attempted to put it on the air. So never used it. Never used the DX100. Never used a. But I have used a Valiant. So all kind of in the same class, I guess. And then I think there's a Globe. What is the Globe? There's a Globe transmitter. It's about 100 watt class too. Like a Globe Champion or something. Never had one of those. So, Frank, those noodles you get, the Raymond, are they just the packet you're talking about, the noodles, and then you just, the dried noodles, and then you just scoop them up by adding your own stuff to it? I see those things. They're either in packets or in those little styrofoam things, instant things. Or do you just, I really guess I don't shop for that too much, so I don't know if there's another kind of Raymond noodles that I just haven't seen. Well, yeah, talking about going out and shopping. When I was a kid, when I used to visit my grandparents, I used to have to go down and shovel the coal from the coal bin into the coal furnace. That was something. Shoveling the coal in, and then after a while, you had to shovel the ash out, and then shovel the ash out into the buckets, and then carry the buckets up the steps out in the backyard, and then dump the ash out in the backyard. So I can say that I shoveled coal into a coal-heated furnace in a house, but I don't think too many people are using coal to heat their house at home. W3FJJ and Group KA3PTX.
W3HT.
Good evening, Steve. KA3HT. And Group W3FJJ. Very good. Nice copy all the way around. Ed from Ohio is gone. That's great. And, let's see. I want to comment on here. 17 degrees here now. Ed and Frank. Wonder how cold it got there, Steve. I think we hit 4 degrees this morning. And I'll tell you too, like you mentioned, Ed, the wind wasn't bad. The snow went out. I didn't feel that bad. I mean, it was up to about 15 to 19. Yeah, it was around 15 degrees when I went out this morning. Played pickleball. Just really didn't feel too bad. Anyway, not too much to comment on here. I'm just going to turn it over to you there, Steve. But yeah, I'm curious how cold it got there. KD3HT in the group, W3FJJ.
Yeah, okay, Chuck. Yeah, it got cold. We were down to -7 all night. At some point it was -6 at like midnight or something, and then the rest of the night it was -7. And got up to 12 degrees today. It's 6 degrees now. And I turned on the water and we still don't have any flow, so I don't know, could be something, could be the pressure tank, it could be the pump, who knows. It's a new pump, so, but you just don't know. It's kind of annoying, especially in this kind of weather. But anyway, there was ice on the floor in the crawl space, but you know, it kind of seemed warm in there, so it's hard to say. The water coming out of the ground is probably 45 degrees or something like that. Yeah, I'll just have to wait and see what happens, that's all. Give it a little time. Anyhow, yeah, I got the wood split. Got it all stacked in the house here. Stove's doing fine, so after this it will be dinner time. So, Chunky didn't make much of a transmission. I'll give you the opportunity if you want to make more. And I'm not sure, I guess it probably goes to Frank or Ed, but not sure. W3FJJ, KA3PTX.
Just on the break, Steve, you don't have any water now?
Just a real slow, little bit. So we put heat tape on the pipe about an hour and a half ago, so giving that a chance and see what happens. If that's the issue, again, it's like it could be a number of things.
All right, yep. Good luck with that. No, I really didn't have much to comment on. There's a big group. I think George is still in here, and Frank and Ed. So I think it might go to George or Frank. I'm not sure which. One of you guys pick it up.
Yeah, it's George. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if I said hello to Chuck. I'll say hello again to Steve. Wow, that's a rough deal you got there. That's a rough deal. When I bought this house, I knew it had a septic, but it had city water. And there was two reasons. Number one, problems like what you're having. But the other thing is, anybody I've ever stayed over at with well water, the shower was like so weak. Forgetting about my best friend in Orange County, New York, who had an awful, god-awful smell. I almost threw up in his shower. It was, he had to get one of those Culligan systems. And it happened like 3 years after he was living there. All of a sudden, there was all this gas, whatever, in the water. But that was the main thing, that I, would have a nice, strong shower to stand underneath. But I sympathize. Hopefully that heat tape will get it going. That's got to be rough. And you're lucky you have a son to throw the package at and say, here, crawl in there. That's pretty good. I'd have to call a repair person. Oh, yeah. QRZ is actually down right now. I thought it was my internet connection, but they're actually down. But I think you said, Frank, W2SDR at ARRL.net. I got to look everybody up. I have to find the link, the email address. I don't know if it's still the same. I don't even remember what it was I was complaining about like 7-8 years ago. Might have been that guy Fred. I forget his call. He used to be like on 3872. Trying to operate AM, like on 3875. I don't know. But I'll send everybody the email address once I find it. I don't think, what's her name is there anymore, Laura. I don't know who it is, but... Anyway, enough about that. I'm going to pull the plug and say 7-3 all around. Good to hear you fellas. I'm amazed that the band has held up this long. Wow. Amazing. And maybe we'll catch you guys tomorrow or over the weekend, whatever. We'll see. Maybe I'll get that Ranger finished this weekend and get that on the air. So 7-3, I'm not sure who's supposed to get it. You guys will figure it out. Maybe Frank, I don't know. I'll listen out here for a couple of minutes. N2LJO.
Yeah. What ringer have you been on tonight, George? Over?
Yeah, I'm on the ICO with the amplifier.
Yeah, it sounds great. Yours ends up. I just went in there, so maybe you have an issue there, or maybe it just went up. So, but it's up and ready to go. W2SDR. Okay. George, big sale. Everybody's got a very nice signal. Steve, I'm sorry to hear about your water issue. Is this the first year you ever had that? I mean, up where you live, it gets much, much colder than it does here. I would think this would have been an issue that you had before. I missed some of your transmissions, so maybe you had heat tape before it and went bad. I know if you got a crawl space up there where you live in those temperatures, you gotta have heat tape. I mean, I got a full basement here, so all of my pipes are inside. And going out to the well is down below the freeze line. And the line from the submersible well pump is below the freeze line, and it comes into my basement low, down below the freeze line. So I just wonder what your issue could have been there. That being you've been there for a while, and it's really gets cold up where you are, a lot colder than it does here. Yeah, that's for sure. Okay. So here you have it. Chuck, you're rather short-winded tonight. I'm used to you having the longest transmissions of everybody. Now tonight you have by far the shortest. Not that there's anything wrong with it, as they say on Seinfeld. But everyone sounded good. David went away. Him and I have a pretty good pipeline on 160. Sometimes we'll get on earlier or later on 1945. David's got a Valiant that's pretty much parked on 1945. So it goes back and forth. As far as coal, and a lot of people have coal stoves today. They really come back. They have very efficient pot bellies that people have. I mean, that's not much. But like, how people have wood-burning stoves in their house? They have coal or pellets, but coal has really come back. I got a ham friend of mine up in Lancaster County that has a coal stove in his house. Most of those, in my opinion, wood stoves, coal stoves, they make the houses too hot and way too dry. I know you can put a pot of water on top of the heaters and everything, but it's way too dry for my sinus. KA3PTX in the group. W2SDR.
Okay, N9PVF acknowledged. In the group, KA3PTX now on the Hallicrafter's HT40. So 3 different transmitters tonight. So, anyway, we were talking about DX160s last night or night before or whatever, but so that's the receiver now. The DX160 is paired up here with the HD40. Anyway, W2SDR in the group. KA3PTX. Welcome back from the great outdoors. Okay, well, I didn't realize coal stoves have made a comeback. And, Lancaster, they get in an area that's got lots of coal and all that, and the infrastructure. It's probably be economical. But, I remember it was a big thing, like these wood stoves, and like wood. It was a kick about a number of years ago about these wood stoves, like wood pellet stoves or something. I don't have any experience with them, but like these pellets or something you would buy, which was sawdust that was compressed into pellets or whatever. But yeah, and I remember, like you said, Frank, when my grandparents had that coal stove, and I had to shovel the coal in, they had like a grate that was above it that let the heat come up. And I remember my grandmother they had a big pot of water always there on top to kind of give you some humidity, but yeah, it's pretty dry stuff. Dry heat. My parents had or my mom still has the baseboard hot water heat, and I think that's pretty good stuff. It's I don't know. I grew up with that, so it doesn't dry out the air. Doesn't stir up dust. You don't have filters, and of course you got the infrastructure, the pumps and everything like that. But anyway, I got blown hot air here in this house on changing the filters, and it seems to really dry things out. And it seems to be like it really goes cycles between hot and cold. Like you feel chilly, and then it
kicks on, and then you get warm, and then it kicks off. And whereas the baseboard radiator heat and the hot water system that we had growing up, it always seemed to be more mellow and not much fluctuations. So there. Yeah, still suffering from this. The remnants of this cold. I can shake the congestion. I'm like, $5 for every time I blew my nose during the day, I'd be a millionaire, it seems. It's like going through boxes of tissues. Very annoying. So, let's see. I'm not sure where it goes to. I think maybe Steve jumped back in. Let's go to Steve. I got all mixed up because we got our order. I was turning it to Chuck, but now that Steve's back, maybe he gets it. I don't know. I'm going to throw it up in the air. Whoever gets it, gets it. KA3PTX.
I'll take it, Chuck.
Go for it.
Ed, I just saw that there's an opportunity for you we could probably get in on. They're looking for a plastic straw policeman down in D.C. for $60 grand a year. And that probably covers, all bonuses, all the extra stuff. It may not be enough, but maybe if you tell them you can also do paper straws, they'll double it. And Frank, the only time I've ever had a pipe freeze is when we were doing construction. We had something happen. But I don't remember another time, that it's happened. I had one time where we had no water in the middle of winter, and at that time, the pressure tank and the limit switch and everything was down in the crawl space, so I had to dig out and get into the crawl space, and that was the time there was a beetle squished between one phase of the relay going to the pump. But no, it's the crawl space is relatively warm, but the water comes in where the opening is. So I mean, you could get a breeze through there. It's probably colder there than it is in other parts of the crawl space. But no, never had a problem. So I don't know. Could be the pressure tank. These things don't happen right gradually. They just kind of go on you. So I'll just have to wait and see what happens. There was a valve down there. I could have had him open, but I didn't have the water pressure on when he was down in the crawl space. And now's not the fun time to go down there. Not that any time is fun. I tried to get Chuck to come down and fix it, but he wouldn't do it. Tried to convince him it was a lot of fun. He wouldn't buy it. So, oh boy. Very good Ed on the other rig. Hear the difference, but still a good signal. Oh, by the way, 73 George. Well, don't forget the AM whatever thing is on this weekend, so I'm sure the bands will be, the normal frequencies will be clogged up by people wanting to make contact. Well, good. We'll see a lot of people on maybe. Anyway, all right, go ahead, Chuck. I think I answered Frank's question, and that's probably the good one. Oh, and Ed, the water pressure, I mean, or not you, Ed, George was talking about it, and yeah, it could be something, but you know what? If the system's set up right, you shouldn't have that. You should have pretty constant, probably 60 pounds of pressure, which is more than enough. And that's what the pump puts out in the boat too, and it's actually, the boat is done by line pressure from the city. So I have to back up on that, but I don't know. It doesn't bother me. Okay, go ahead, Chuck, take her away. W3FJJ 33HD.
DVF, let me in after you, Chuck, please.
Okay, David. Coming over to you in a minute. KD3HT and the group, W3FJJ, 73 George. Hold on. But yeah, you know, you mentioned the well water and stuff, and I had that for years at Conowingo, and I don't miss that. Nope. And the water pressure wasn't good, and I had iron in the water, which you know, I probably could have gotten the second system to get it out, but I put up with it. Never felt real clean taking showers. I mean, you know, felt okay, but and there for 2 years early on, I guess the darn shower head got kind of clogged up. I mean, you know, after a while, I mean, things were just trickling out. I'm taking a shower and I'm barely getting anything out of it. I bought a new shower head, and when I changed it, a bunch of junk came out that was all clogged up in there, and that made a big difference. But I can't believe I put up with it for like a year or two, you know, like this water just barely trickling out, you know, as I'm trying to take a shower. But, you know, I just didn't know any better or whatever. But that made a big difference. So the water pressure wasn't too bad, but definitely a lot better here at this house with the city water and all that. But I saved a lot of money over the years with that well water and everything, and not having water bills, and never had to do anything to the well, never, you know, no maintenance. So definitely made out money-wise compared to living in the city.